lights are out, you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels slow, just hold on. Just hold on. Just hold on.
While the NASCAR Cup Series runs their duels at Daytona, we're on a scouting mission here tonight as we head to the racetrack they will be at next week for round number 3 of the TNT Truck Series season from Fontana, California, and the Auto Club Speedway. Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening tonight. And alongside me is my broadcast partner, as always, Tony Trapasso. Tony, a great couple of races, but tonight we come to a completely different style track. Big, wide, flat, and fast.
We's going trucks in California. I love this vehicle track combination. Probably my favorite in the entirety of the iRacing servers, because you have to be able to play both ends of the spectrum. You have to have throttle control at this place, but you also have to know how to play the draft to perfection if you want to have any shot at it tonight.
Yep, and another characteristic about this racetrack is that this racetrack is known to play very, very loose. And the track temperature and ambient temperature here tonight, at least for the moment, being very similar, this could be a race where you're going to be holding on for a vast majority instead of going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that's the thing that we've seen about California Speedway in the past. Surprisingly, it's turned into a fuel mileage race.
Yep.
But that's not uncommon for the TickleZombie.com TNT Truck Series. These guys are notorious for going long green flag runs. The one thing that does have me mildly concerned is the fact that they're trying to go 140 laps with only 3 sets of tires tonight.
Yep, and it is going to be quite an interesting night. The man you're seeing on screen right now, the man who finished second at Kansas last time out, that is the points leader right now, the number 51 of Randy Bechdel. And we'll take a quick look at those point standings coming into tonight. Randy Bechdel with that second place finish and 1 stage win takes over the points lead away from Evan Pienta. It's a 4-point gap between the top two. Chris Brown jumps up a couple spots. Scott Tompkins with a good week. Ryan Jones with his win last time out at Kansas Speedway jumps up into the top 5 as well. And you'll notice the first race winner of the season, Jordan Smith, not here last week. He dropped 20 spots from first all the way down to 21st just from missing last week's race, and he is not here at the moment, at least tonight either.
Yeah, that's a little bit concerning. I know these guys do use drop weeks, but you don't want to burn them this early, especially with what I've seen coming up on the schedule.
It is certainly going to be you want to be here as often as possible, and we saw you can miss a race or two, as you had mentioned, Tony, and still end up in good shape. And if you are going to miss, better to miss at the beginning of the season rather than at the end.
Yeah, you're not wrong, but I would use those drop weeks very strategically. Yes. In tracks that I know are not going to be my strong suit. For example, coming up, we've got the Roval. Ain't nobody got time for that. And then, we've got Canadian Tire coming up at the tail end of the season. Both those tracks can be very difficult to get around in anything full fendered, more so in the trucks because these things are so darn top heavy.
Absolutely. As we're getting set now to go into the qualifying session here tonight. Now, for the season opener at Vegas, it was 10 minutes. Last week at Kansas, it was 5 minutes. We'll see what they give the drivers to qualify here tonight.
5 minutes.
Yep, so it'll be a 5-minute qualifying session. Thank you, Tony. As we get set to go here. Quite sure what that was all about.
Looks like Pogo's going to be the first one to roll it in that Monster Energy Hoonigan number 4. Chris Hone rolling it. Chris Brown. And Cody Levitt rolling them already. Randy Bechdel starting to roll. Steve Holmes starting to roll. And, that kind of brings me to another point that I do know that we both wanted to touch on tonight. Congratulations to Pogo and Holmes for winning. It was a 12 hours of Bathurst.
Yes, it was. It was the Bathurst 12.
They brought that Audi R8. It looked like it had been through a war, but they brought it home on the top step of the podium. So hats off to you boys.
Yeah, absolutely good for those guys. I'm not sure. Just had a pretty big overlay issue. So we'll try to work on that as quickly as we can. Overlay completely shifted off to the side. As Pogo getting set to lay down his first official time. As running that high line, trying to get the momentum up as much as he can. Try to get that speed, and he will go second quickest as Chris Brown actually lays down the fast time.
Well, Pogo's on his second lap right now, and he's got it wound up this time. He's right down on that right down on that white line coming through the corners. So definitely trying a different path on the second lap than he did on the first.
As Brown,
Scotty Tompkins to the top of the pile.
On his first lap, Scott Tompkins that is Pogo up to the point. Chris Holmes comes second. Chris Brown third. Cody Levitt jumps up into the second position. Jeff Pogo with a 41.30 in that number 4, so a mega time for him. Randy Bechdel goes to the point at a 41.19, a clear 10th quicker than anybody else at the moment. Coming across the line now, Scott Tompkins in the 25. He will jump up to third as Ellis Thomas, seeing him on screen right now, as Ellis Thomas in the 80 jumps up into third. So a solid run for him. Evan Pienta on track in that Hot Wheels 00. First lap
Ryan
was good.
Jones jumps up to fifth quick.
Still trying to figure out what in the world happened to our overlay here. For seemingly no reason at all, it just completely shifted all the way over to the left.
It's an ID 10T error.
I'm going to need English for that one, but as Evan Pienta
write
jumps up
it
to fifth.
down. Write it down, and you'll get it. ID 10T.
Okay, got it. as Taylor Summers on track right now, coming through turns 3 and 4.
And I dare say that we've just seen the best qualifying attempt we've seen out of the 28 of Chris Smith in a long time as he goes second quick.
It has been quite a while since we've seen him running up towards the front. Now, he has had some runs up near the front this season, but nothing that's really staggered. Is Tony, if you wouldn't mind taking over here for a second while I try to get this sorted out, that would be very appreciated.
Not a problem. Eric Wright's number 53, getting ready to start his second lap as time expires in qualifying. Randy Bechdel setting quick time here tonight. He's going to be joined on the front row with the aforementioned 28 of Chris Smith.
We're good.
Okay.
I guess it was just something with the session that when it says
that qualifying glitch. It's a qualifying glitch that SDK's been having as of late. But Jeff Pogo and Ellis Thomas sitting in for row number 2. Scotty Tompkins and Evan Pienta are going to roll off in row 3. Row 4 is going to give us Ryan Jones and Cody Levitt, with row 5 going to Anthony Reynolds and the 52 of Johnny Rapp.
That will leave Chris Brown and Chris Hone making up row number 6. Row 7 goes to Chandler Summers and Stephen Holmes. Eric Wright and Dan Dill will make up row 8. Chase Barry and Brad Allison in row number 9. Jamie Leach and Tommy Cannon will line up next to each other in row 10. Row 11 goes to Paul Thomas and Mike Mock, with Larry Poling rounding out the field. 17th on back, so Barry, Allison, Leach, Cannon, Thomas, Mock, and Poling lining up via iRating after not taking lap times in the qualifying session. Weather here tonight, we had mentioned it before, not that much difference between ambient and track temperature here tonight. 66 degree track temperature to 65 degree ambient temperature. These engines are going to run fast, a little bit more grip than what you would expect, but still this old surface is going to be very, very slick here.
Yeah, especially with the amount of water grain that's in the air right now. We're at 56% relative humidity. That's something these guys are really going to have to be mindful of. Luckily, I say that the winds start to pick up. So they're going to be hitting a crosswind coming off of turn number 4. And that's going to wreak havoc as these guys try to lay the power down coming through the tri-oval section of this track. Looks like we've got everybody on the grid just waiting for the pace truck to start rolling it. But, Frank, I mean, the engines are going to be making a lot of horsepower with that water grain that's in the air. The cool temperatures are going to give the tires as much adhesion as they're going to ever find, as it's chilly for the greater Southern California area. And, you've got a pack of angry wolves right now, 23 deep, trying to start this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also worth noting that this racetrack has been around since 1997, and it has not had a repave since then at all. And we will definitely see that when the NASCAR Cup Series goes to Auto Club Speedway next week, and it will be the full 2-mile layout that they will be going to in next week. As we get set to go here for what will be round number 3 of this season, Randy Bechdel and Chris Smith making up the front row. A nice solid front row, as these guys are going to be looking certainly to get as many points as they possibly can here with the 2 stage breaks we have at laps 25 and 60 tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Bechdel is going to have his work cut out for him. This is the only Toyota in a sea of Chevys right now at the front of this piece.
Absolutely. As they come off of turn number 4, pace car ducks away, getting set for 140 laps from the Auto Club Speedway. Randy Bechdel leads them down. We're green.
Bechdel and Smith side by side as they haul it off coming through the tri-oval, hauling it off into turn number 1. Bechdel with the nose out front, as Smith now has to defend against Jeff Pogo, who is in lockstep with Randy Bechdel right now. Pogo on the low side, Smith on the high side, and then right behind him you got Scotty Tompkins and Ellis Thomas going hammer and tongs.
You can see already these trucks, it looks like a big melee, it looks like a mess, but this racetrack is plenty wide enough for something like this. You're going to be seeing guys at the bottom, the top, and the middle here all night long.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's something that I love about this track, is the fact that there is so many different lines that you can take through the corners that you can usually get it figured out within a lap or two. As now Smith under heavy pressure from Scotty Tompkins, Pogo on the high side getting a good run through the 1-2 complex. Pogo on that second lane with a head of steam, going to have the nose out front as they drag race down the back straightaway.
Yep, and big wiggles out of most of the guys there coming out of turn number 2, and you can see just how bumpy this racetrack is coming down the back straightaway. This track is not an easy ride. There's a lot of bumps and undulations at this racetrack, even though it is basically a flat 2-mile oval. There's a lot of bumps and a lot of divots and rivets that you have to worry about here at this racetrack.
Very much so, as battle for 6, hot and heavy right now between last week's winner Ryan Jones and the 00 Evan Pienta. Those guys in lockstep right now, trying to outdo the other one as they haul it down the back straightaway again. It's Pienta on the high side, Jones on the low side. And these guys are racing it like it's the last lap, and we're only 3 laps in.
Only 3 drivers have managed to win a stage this season. Jordan Smith is one. Is a big move up the middle there for Scott Tompkins in the number 25, forcing the 28 low and the 4 high. He's certainly going to make it work for him, though, as he jumps up into that second position. But an audacious move by Scott Tompkins, and now Chris Smith giving it right back down on the inside.
Smith not giving up an inch right now as Pogo almost into the wall coming off a 2. He's going to drop a couple of positions as he's got Ellis Thomas right there as well. As they're 3 wide with Jones.
Yep, Ryan Jones in the middle in that number 7. Jeff Pogo to his outside. So we mentioned Ryan Jones, last week's winner, in the middle line right now, not looking like the best one to be as Pogo gets the momentum off. And you can see that 80 of Ellis Thomas starting to poke his nose into this little run here.
Absolutely. As Randy Bechdel at the front of this piece trying to figure out which lane he's got to cover off. He just threw the block on Scott Tompkins coming into turn 1. That's going to let Smith get to the inside of Tompkins as they're side-by-side down the back straightaway for second place. Just a ton of racing going on at the front of this piece. But if you're watching in the live stream, let us know who you're pulling for. We'll try to give them some love.
Absolutely. You're looking a little bit further back. Stephen Holmes trying to get around the outside of Anthony Reynolds for the 12th position. Now coming under fire from Johnny Rapp in the 52. Working that inside line. Now ducks in behind as the battle's still going on up front. This for 4th here between Jeff Pogo
3 wide for the lead.
Yep, absolutely. Is certainly getting close. Here is Randy Bechdel trying to cover off Chris Smith. Here comes Jeff Pogo flying on the outside.
They're 3 wide for 3rd right now. And Frank, you know as well as I do, the most terrifying words you can hear your spotter say in iRacing is 3 wide, you're the meat.
Jeff Pogo sure not too happy coming off at turn 2 there, because he had a run and a half and got cut off big time by the 28 and the 25 battling for second, as now he's pushing Randy Bechdel up back into the lead as Scott Tompkins and Chris Smith battle towards the inside, running 3 wide for the race lead, and there's still room for about 2 or 3 cars in between them.
Tompkins doing the right thing, backing out a little early. They're 4 wide.
That was Pogo trying to get the undercut. Saw Randy Bechdel starting to drift up, cut the wheel in, and he's going to get the lead from that move, and Scott Tompkins is going to be the big loser out of that. Falling down to 5th position as Jeff Pogo goes to the lead on the outside. Chris Smith still working that inside line in 2nd. Bechdel down to 3rd.
All-important bonus point for the 4 of Pogo, as Ryan Jones starting to make some headway finally, as he is in lockstep with his teammate now, as these guys still have not given up at the front of this piece. You would think that we're working lap 138 instead of lap 8.
8 cars up here in this top group as look at Ryan Jones swing big time to the inside. Goes for the race lead, 4 abreast for the race lead. Not quite 4 wide, but certainly close. Jones looking for that momentum on the inside. Jeff Pogo holds it on the outside. Him and Chris Smith, Jones and Smith, dead heat to the line. It's Pogo leading the lap as this race up here at the front, my goodness, it's close.
And this is one of the reasons, ladies and gentlemen, why I'm not on track driving. I'm up in the announce booth. It's very heart-wrenching to watch this go on. I couldn't imagine what it would be like to be in one of these trucks right now. I guarantee you my blood pressure could not handle it.
These guys are laughing, I'm sure, as boy Chris Smith, and around goes Ryan Jones in turn 3. Somehow keeps it straight.
How did he save that?
No idea, and with minimal damage as well. Sure got a big assist from the 25 of Tompkins, though. Wow.
That was something you would see on a short track dirt circuit as opposed to a 2-mile paved oval. The fact that he was that sideways and was able to save it is nothing short of miraculous.
28 came down going into turn 3, knocked the 7 in. 7 had to back off the throttle. ended up getting rear-ended by the 25, and that's what sent him sideways. Both of them now
still slinging it out back there is Jones, Thomas, and Tompkins. None of them have shown any give yet.
Absolutely not. As Pogo up at the front on that outside line, Chris Smith still hanging strong in that second position, working the inside line.
Payback!
I'm sure it was, as there's Ryan Jones.
Ryan Jones just yeeted Scotty Tompkins.
Take a look at that here in just a second. So I'm sure Jones probably not fully aware of what happened. I think this is the lap before. It is.
Wait do you see when they get to turn 2?
Yeah, we'll try to see. We'll try to get a closer look as to what happened between these two. As this is coming through turn 2. Down the back straightaway. I think it might have already happened. Try to find that a little bit later.
Yeah, he just completely yeeted him coming off of 2. But Chandler Summers into the top 10 for the first time tonight in the 12, as he's slugging it out with Scotty Tompkins right now. Those guys in lockstep.
He was hanging around with Chris Brown right at the back of that group. There was the 8-car group just before that incident with Smith, Jones, and Tompkins. And just off of them were the 1 of Brown and the 12 of Summers. Those guys have now since caught up into this group since that little kerfuffle on lap 9.
Biggest movers to speak of so far: Chris Brown up 5, Jamie Leach up 5, and Tommy Cannon up 5.
Some nice little battle around Jamie Leach and Tommy Cannon. Stephen Holmes on the outside in the 9, trying to get around and stay around Anthony Reynolds in the 82. These guys are fanned out just the same way the top 8 were not that long ago. Tommy Cannon up on that outside line in the 47. Anthony Reynolds swings in behind Stephen Holmes. This is what we talked about right at the beginning of the broadcast, a wide, fast racetrack. And with these cars, as I don't want to say underpowered, but still compared to the Cup car, underpowered, a big slide from Tommy Cannon sends him down to the inside. It's going to allow for a lot of great racing like this.
Cannon, if he didn't catch the wall, another coat of paint, he would have been in deep trouble coming off of 4. And that goes back to that gusting crosswind that we were talking about during the pre-race. Just gusting 4 mile an hour there, and apparently 4 miles an hour of side wind is enough to unsettle even the most steely nerves.
Absolutely is. Running in the top 5 right now, Jeff Pogo, Chris Smith, Evan Pienta up to 3rd, Randy Bechdel in 4th, and look who settled himself into 5th position. It's the 3 of Cody Levitt, having a nice solid run in that Volta Chevrolet. Cody Levitt trying to work on his best finish of the season.
I'm still surprised he hasn't broken out the Golden Knights paint scheme that he's notorious for.
Had that all season long last year. Also had the 38 all season long last year as well, as Randy Bechdel dives to the inside of Evan Pienta looking for 3rd. Chris Smith has stayed glued to that inside. Meanwhile, Jeff Pogo has remained magnetic to that outside wall. And it has not been working for Chris Smith, as Pogo still maintains that race lead. It's just the momentum that you get on the outside line. That slingshot run off the corners has been more than enough for Pogo to be able to defend successfully.
Well, the other advantage Pogo has in the 4 is, he's not having to turn that wheel quite as much. And this track is notorious for punishing right front tires if you're not careful. So Pogo's in the catbird seat right now. Him and Cody Levitt are the only two that are running that upper lane just inside of where the marbles would be forming in the corners. And so far, it's working for them.
You can run lines in this sim, so the marbles will move up the racetrack the further up the track you move, as Pogo has a little connection blame. We're coming inside of we got 7 to go here before the stage. Is Pogo having big time issues right now? Evan Pienta slotted behind him. I'm sure he's a little bit concerned, as Chris Smith has actually backed off, coming down the back straightaway, almost even with Pienta before he dives off into 3 to try to take the lead again.
I think he might be trying to cool his tires down just a little bit, but with the stages adding to this, it's a whole new game, if you will. Instead of just one guy running away with all the points every night, there's as many as 20 bonus points up for grabs.
6 green and white checkered flags have been handed out this season. All 6 have gone to 3 unique drivers. Jordan Smith, Randy Bechdel, and Ryan Jones are the only 3 drivers that have been able to win stages this season. Jeff Pogo looking to become the first one that's not those 3 to take home a green and checkered flag here tonight.
Absolutely, as we are going to be 5 to go at the stripe. Pogo showing the way. Pienta all over his tailgate right now. As Pienta now looks to the inside, coming through the tryout.
Pardon me, I misspoke. After tonight, it'll be 6. Only 4 have gone.
Right.
Have gone out. Jordan Smith won the first stage at Vegas. Bechdel won the second stage at Vegas and the first stage at Kansas. And Ryan Jones won the second stage at Kansas.
Right.
So here's Evan Pienta, Jordan Smith's teammate, up at the front of this field now. Stage caution will fly at the beginning of lap 25. Stage 2 will end at lap 60. Pienta right on that wall, not letting Jeff Pogo get to the outside of him. As Pogo right on the back bumper of that 00. Also, Cody Levitt made his way around Randy Bechdel. He's up into 4th.
Yeah, this is one of the lowest first stages we've seen Bechdel in a long time. It looks like he's not having it his own way here at California. As Pienta now showing the way as Smith battles back on Pogo yet again, coming through the 3-4 complex.
Smith goes for the dive on the inside as Pienta tries to stay up as high as he can for as long as he can to shut down the run of that number 4 of Jeff Pogo. Chris Brown and Ellis Thomas sitting just off of this front 5.
Pogo with a power move going into 1, wrestles the lead away, slide job coming off of 2. Pienta going to have to duck back in. Pienta doing the crossover down the back straightaway, side by side. They haul it off into turn number 3.
Yep, Pienta now gets the push from Chris Smith. Pienta doing exactly what Pogo did to Bechdel to take the race lead in the first place. As here's Chris Smith down on the inside line. He's going to put the slide on not just Evan Pienta, but Jeff Pogo as well, the 26 for the first time tonight to the race lead. He's been close enough, but he finally has it cleared.
2 to go till the competition caution. Smith now shows the way. Pogo in lockstep as Pienta and Levitt now go side by side through 1 and 2. Pienta with a head of steam coming off of 2. Is he going to be able to do anything with Pogo down the back straightaway as they're side by side, hauling it off into turn number 3?
Check back in on Ryan Jones. He is currently running in the 8th position, about 2.5 to 3 seconds now off of the front 7. Scott Tompkins has fallen back to 11th. Doesn't appear to be too much damage on that number 25, but the back bumper of the number 7 certainly is caved in. 1 more lap to go until we hit the stage as Chris Smith working that middle lane down the front straightaway. Now goes the inside lane. Pogo trying to get that momentum on the outside, trying to carry him to a run going into 3.
Pogo with the nose out front. Here comes Bechdel with a run off of 2 as he closes right in on the tailgate of Pienta's Hot Wheels F-150, hauling it off into turn number 3. Pienta and Levitt side by side. Pienta with a head of steam. Levitt not getting the run he was hoping for, coming off of
Levitt's
turn.
in the wall.
Levitt's into the wall. He was struggling with that one. That truck was pushing like a dump truck. Competition caution comes out. Chris Smith wins the stage. Pogo, Pienta, Bechdel, Brown, Thomas, Levitt, Jones, Summers, and Chris Hone rounding out your top 10.
Big stage win for the 28 of Chris Smith, his first stage win of the season. As Smith with a big move with a couple of laps to go in the stage to take what appeared to be a sure stage win away from Jeff Pogo. And we talked about it, Cody Levitt. See the damage on the right side of that, number 3, trying to push to get up to the outside of Evan Pienta coming off of turn 4. Just was not quite meant to be. As pit stops are getting set to commence here, fuel only for some of these guys will be an option. It has been an option the first time down pit road all season long.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about during qualifying, Chris Smith had a great qualifying run. It's probably the best qualifying run we've seen out of the 28 in a long time. And the fact that he's not having to climb his way through the field, we're seeing that he has the pace to keep up with the front runners.
It's the 52 of Johnny Rapp in the background there, taking a wide swing on his entry into pit road. Randy Bechdel up here at the front. Dan Dill is going to win the race off of pit road. Chris Smith, no tires, just fuel, as everyone's starting to come off. So again, it'll be Chris Smith winning the race off of pit road. Dan Dill drove through pit road, as he usually does. Now, the reason behind that strategy for Dan Dill is if you come down pit road on the first run, on the first lap of being eligible, you can then pit on 1 to go and not incur a penalty. If you do not at least drive through pit road when it opens, you cannot do that,
right,
which is why Dill tends to take the first lap down pit road. And here he comes again.
This time we're going to see some service done on the number 11 F-150.
It's the unique little quirk with the iRacing system. He will not get credit for a lap led, as Chris Smith will have led each of the last 2 laps. And with that, we are 1 to go, getting set to go back to green flag racing.
I'm just taking a quick look at who the movers and shakers are right now. Brad Allison in the 03 up 10, currently running in 8th. So great run out of the Aussie there.
Batesman Bay, Australia. 58 years of age, running up in the 8th position is Brad Allison at the moment. Ryan Jones, back end repaired on his car. He is down in the 12th position. Scott Tompkins, not having to focus on damage repair, is up into 9th. And we saw that. I don't think Jones realizes how little time to react that Tompkins had.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I'm looking as lights are out on the pace car. Only a handful of drivers taking 4 in fuel. First one to do so looks like it might be Anthony Reynolds in the 82. Everybody else just taking fuel and damage repair.
We're back to green flag racing here, taking lap 28 from the Auto Club Speedway with the number 28 out in front. And Tony, I hope you didn't get tired of that hornet's nest because we're about to see it again.
Very much so. Ellis Thomas is, got a great run going right now as he's working side by side with Randy Bechdel down the back straightaway in lockstep with Jeff Pogo as Pienta looks to the inside of Smith going into 3.
And Pienta, that Hot Wheels 00, looks to the inside, makes the dive. Can he make the slide? He does and will successfully. Evan Pienta up to the race lead, at least for the moment, as the 82 of Anthony Reynolds has a big slide coming off at turn 4, is able to keep it and not hit the wall. So those fresh tires wreaking a little bit of havoc for the 82 early. Cold, fresh tires means a loose race car.
Very much so. As looks like Johnny Rapp in the 52 having an issue as he's bringing it back down pit road. Not sure exactly what's going on there.
Unsafe pit entry for Rapp because he would have had the penalty to start with.
Yeah.
As Pienta holding firm up in the race lead. Top 5 looking a little bit different. Pienta, Smith, Pogo, Thomas, and Brown. Your top 5.
Brown and Bechdel side by side coming off of 2. Bechdel with a head of steam. Brown getting kind of hemmed in almost as a pick maneuver behind Ellis Thomas right now. As Bechdel right there as Brad Allison trying to figure out which lane he wants to go in the 03.
Riding on board with Brad Allison at the moment, running in the 7th position. Side-by-side action in front of him between Bechdel and Brown. Bechdel jumping up to that outside. These guys a little bit calmer and a little bit more tame than they were before. You can hear just how quick Allison on that outside line is able to pick up the throttle and push through. That really has the momentum, as I believe that was the 80 of Ellis Thomas getting into the fence as we were watching there.
Yeah, a little bit of a light touch on the bedside there on the right side. You can see the little wow in there. But, he's got it sorted out. Is now Thomas and Brown going hammer and tongs for that number 4th position as they're trying to get it figured out. Smith in lockstep with Pienta with Pogo all over his tailgate. 3-truck breakaway starting at the front of this piece. There's got a little bit of a gap now back to that battle between Thomas and Brown.
Rear bumper of Ryan Jones, as you can see, virtually straightened out for that Mountain Dew Baja Blast number 7. In last week's winner, Ryan Jones. As Chris Smith still looking to that inside of Evan Pienta. And that inside, it's great for corner entry, but with how long you have to roll that truck to keep it on the inside, that outside line will become a big, big looker for guys that are on the inside of the numbers.
Very much so, but I mean, we've already gotten past the point where these guys have already worn all the goodie off the tires. As I'm looking right now between fast lap and their last laps, you're looking just over a second fall off after 33 laps. You got to wonder who's going to be the first one to blink to come put fresh shoes on these trucks.
But on board with Scott Tompkins, looking to the inside of that number 7 of Ryan Jones, giving him plenty of room. See that crinkled in nose there on the front of that 25 from the contact on lap 9 with the 7. Just how much these guys fan out in the corners, and it all comes down to about a lane or two in the straightaways. It's quite incredible to see how you can have 4 abreast funnel into 1 just on one end of the racetrack.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like Chandler Summers looking to the inside of Jamie Leach right now, as Leach holding down the last spot in the top 10, but in front of him it is just war zone time for Brad Allison, Ryan Jones, and Randy Bechdel.
Randy Bechdel now starting to slip back into that 8th position is tonight's pole sitter and points leader. Up at the front, Pienta with the 28, back to the inside. The 4 trying to get a run on the outside line. Not quite there as of yet. Ryan Jones, Randy Bechdel. Bechdel backing off of his teammate, was very content to sit behind that 7 last week. Said he wasn't going to be so content this week. Try to get points and try to win the race is his goal here tonight. Chris Hone in the 85, didn't see much of him at Kansas last week. Now running at the back of what is a 12-car front group, a 13-car front group, pardon me, in that Moss number 85. As Hone bringing up the rear of this group, Mike Mock running single behind him in the 14th position. Eric Wright in 15th. Not that far behind him. It's a battle for third place. Very close as Pogo trying to hold on to it. Thomas trying to take it. And
Thomas doing everything
Brown,
except throwing the kitchen sink at it right now.
Yep, and now he's going to lose it out to Chris Brown. So Brown up to the 4th spot. Pienta up into the race lead. Well, still holding on to the race lead, I should say. As we work lap 37 of 140 here from the Auto Club Speedway. Ellis Thomas still falling backwards, now losing the 5th spot to Brad Allison. Up into 5th, and they're 4 abreast behind. Boy, that got close between the 80 and the 7. As Bechdel jumps from the inside to the outside, the 7 of Jones now pushing the 80, trying to get him back up into 5th. Does successfully, and in the process gets himself up into 6th, but only for the moment.
I think Bechdel saw what his teammate was doing with the 80 and wanted nothing doing of it coming through the tri-oval. As right now, Brad Allison just kind of biding his time right now as he's following Ellis Thomas side by side with Jones going into turn number 3. As I gotta like what Allison's doing right now. His strategy is very solid. He's not overdriving the truck. He's not putting it in a bad situation. And, the results are showing right now as he's up 11 from where he started.
Certainly are, as Allison still holding on to that outside line. One of the guys that has been on the outside this entire race. Take a look a little bit further back. Johnny Rapp is back out on track, by the way. Chase Barry right now continuing his hang out in the back and save that first set of tires strategy that he's been working over the first 2 races of this season. Currently running in the 22nd position. Cody Levitt, who we saw with all that right side damage on his truck after hitting the wall in turn 4, just the end of the stage, running in 17th. That's Stephen Holmes just ahead of him in that Tickle Zombie number 9. Everything's starting, at least at the front here, starting to get fanned out a little bit as tire wear is starting to become more and more of an issue.
Very much so, as Ryan Jones coming under heavy pressure from Ellis Thomas at the front of this thing for 5th. As don't look now, but here comes Chandler Summers in the 12, Scotty Tompkins, Chris Hone, and that's Tommy Cannon leading the charge.
Cannon on that inside line trying to get around, just got around Chandler Summers, looking to get around Jamie Leach in the 13 right now. As Brad Allison starting to fall backwards a little bit. Scott Tompkins just behind this group. One wild finish last season here as Tompkins and Jordan Smith colliding with about 3 laps to go. Damaging their truck sufficiently enough to give the 51 of Randy Bechdel the race win. And it looks as though, at least for the moment, that Tompkins won't necessarily be in that same position here tonight.
Not yet, anyways, as, he is just mired back there. Trying to get back into the top 10, currently sitting in the number 12 spot. But, hey, there's still a lot of racing left to do. We are 99 laps to go.
Certainly appreciate those of you who are watching us here tonight and maybe have the duels at Daytona up on a different monitor. So we're just inside of 100 laps to go here from the Auto Club Speedway. Evan Pienta out in the race lead, has been for the last 12 laps or so. Chris Smith in second, which is about as low as he's been all night. Jeff Pogo, Chris Brown battling for third now. Brown starting to make his way up through the field. He's +7 from where he started tonight. Jeff Pogo dominated the first segment of this race, but did not get the stage win. And Ryan Jones starting to claw his way back up, running in 5th. Randy Bechdel down in 6th.
Yeah, field's starting to get a little strung out right now as let's look like the 12 is Summers and Brad Allison going side by side for the 8th spot. Summers with a good head of steam coming off of 2. Allison may have burned his equipment up too early, trying to get up into the top 10. Now he's starting to backslide quite a bit as that's Jamie Leach working his inside as well.
Leach looking to the inside, not just of Allison, but now of Chandler Summers as well. Summers in that number 12 in the middle. Lane starting to close in between the 03, the 12, and 13. Just behind them, that's Chris Holmes, Scott Tompkins, and Tommy Cannon battling for position between those three. So that's, what's that, 8th through 13th, all in one spot as Tommy Cannon puts the bumper to Scott Tompkins. That spins him around. Caution comes out.
Well,
sure
they
what that was
were.
about.
It looked like Tompkins backed off to stay off of the 85, and unfortunately, Cannon didn't spot it soon enough and just pile drove the 25.
Tommy Cannon in the wall as well, coming out of turn 4. As we will go to the replay, take a look and see what happened. This is going down into 3. And yeah, Tony, I think you're right. I think maybe the 25 led off a little bit more than what Tommy Cannon was expecting. And Cannon just punted him, riding on board with Cannon. Yeah, he led off big, and Cannon, you heard there on the replay, was not on the gas when he hit the 25. So just unfortunately, byproduct of close racing here, not a lot of room to evade a mistake.
Yeah, he just didn't spot the checkup in time and snap, see you bye.
Absolutely. As Evan Pienta still holding on to the race lead for the moment. And with Valentine's Day and Daytona 500 weekend and Super Bowl weekend, we've been a little thin here on ESBN, and that unfortunately will continue into next week. After tonight, we do not have another race until 7:20 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday. It'll be the Fired Up Esports League, otherwise known as Fuel, will run their 4th round of the season at Lucas Oil Raceway. And then about an hour after that will be the season opener for Sunday Night NASCAR. They will be at Daytona International Speedway, their first points race of the season. That'll be an 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time start. Then on Monday, it'll be the Rowdy Energy Cup Series returning for their season opener, the Daytona 500 for them, at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time as well. And then about 10 minutes after that will be round number 5 for the CleanRacing.net Truck Series. They also will be at Daytona. So if you're a fan of Daytona racing, this week is going to be the week for you. And then at 9 p.m. Eastern Time will be Iowa, the 3rd to last race of the season for the Maestros Classic ARCA Series. So a lot of racing coming up, but you're going to have to wait a couple days for it here on ESPN.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I love and I hate this time of year. I love the fact that the real world of motorsports is starting back up. As a matter of fact, a big shout out has to go out to Pete Britton and the 21A Big Block Modified team as they won at Volusia last night.
Congratulations.
So good to see the Aussie starting his season off on the right foot. As Britain's family actually owns the Troyer distribution ship for the entirety of Australia. Pete came over here to try his hand with some of the best in big block modified racing, and he's done his family proud. That's for darn sure.
Would absolutely sound as such. As we welcome again those of you who are flipping back and forth between this and the duels.
Does that include me?
Sure. Brad Keselowski winning duel number 1 for those of you who have seen it, and spoiler alert, sorry, for those of you who didn't, about 5 laps into duel number 2 right now as we come off of turn number 4. Lap number 48 getting set to commence, about to go back to green flag racing. Evan Pienta on the outside line has control, and we are back to green flag racing.
And I think that was a very wise choice from Pienta, electing to restart in that outside lane, as he knows how strong Smith was. He knows how strong Pogo is. Now he's able to try to work with Chris Brown. Brown not getting the restart he was hoping for, as he's side by side with Pogo for third and has Ryan Jones all over his tailgate right now, as Smith, big swing going into 3, trying to do the slide job on Pienta.
And that's how Smith took the race lead and won stage number 1 on the evening. Unfortunately for him, Pienta didn't allow him to clear, so Pienta on that outside line, it will be that 00 leading the lap, not by much, only about 2/100ths of a second separating those two at the line, as Chris Brown now following right in the tire marks of Evan Pienta.
Pienta did the right thing, too, coming through the 3 and 4 complex. He pinched Brown down, and that's what really had Brown checking up to make sure he stayed off of Pienta, as now he's going to get freight trained, as that's Ryan Jones with a head of steam. It's just a 3-truck tango in that second lane.
It's absolutely what you have the ability to do on that outside line, is you have that ability to really hamper the exit of the car on the inside line, and that could either help you get or keep a position.
3 wide.
Here comes Ryan Jones to the middle, 3 wide.
Jones never one to really let the moss grow under his feet, wasted absolutely no time as he's side by side, 3 deep, with Brown and Smith coming off of turn number 2, still side by side. Smith with a little bit of a wiggle, and it looks like the one coming out on the losing end is going to be the 28 of Chris Smith.
Just think Chris Smith right now running in the 5th position. This is as low as he's been all night long. He has been up in the top 2 or 3 the entire race, as now here comes the 25 of Scott Tompkins on the inside line. He was just backwards not that long ago. He's now up into 5th after taking 4 tires and fuel there under that last caution.
Well, when you're talking about a 2-second fall off after 50 laps, which I believe we're getting ready to see the second competition caution.
Starting lap 60.
There we go. But, the fact that Tompkins did burn a set of tires, you can see the speed disparity in the corners, as Tompkins is able to carry just so much more momentum on those fresh shoes.
Yep, and that 25 of Tompkins got big time pitched down by Evan Pienta there, keeping him at bay, but not for long. As while it may have been unfortunate that he was just involved in that incident, he was able to keep the car relatively clean, didn't hit a wall, and just made a move to try to get him a stage win. It's certainly going to hurt him when everybody else comes down pit road and takes their first set of tires at the end of this stage that he'll have 15 lap older tires than everybody else. But for right now, this was a move to win the stage, and right now it's looking like it's working out for him.
And that's the thing these guys have to be looking at all season long, is getting those all-important bonus points for stage positions. You've got to finish in the top 10 to have any points at the stage end. And I'm just looking right now through the big movers and shakers. Mike Mock up 15 from where he started, currently running in the number 7 spot.
Yep, that number 21 looking to the inside. Big lunge to the inside of Chris Smith, who I think running on the inside line for as long as he has finally burned those tires out, as Mike Mock, another one of those guys who came into pit on that last caution, got himself some tires. He's looking to get some stage points as well, and for a guy like Mike Mock, we haven't seen him up much at the front. This being the third year we've broadcasted this series, haven't seen him up towards the front much. This could be absolutely massive for Mike Mock if he can get some points out of this, possibly win a stage.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, Mock's one of those guys that if he can stay out of other people's dumpster fires, you know, he knows how to play the long game. And speaking of long game, I know you were just as happy as I was to see who won on Tuesday night for the Western States Truck League.
Yep.
You know, that was won purely on fuel mileage, and that could be the strategy that Mock's trying to play here.
Mike Mock is all over the back bumper of Scott Tompkins, and here comes Mike Mock for the race lead. I think in the 3 seasons we've done this series, that's the first time I've said that.
That is the first time you have said that. And how about this? Up 21 spots in the 21, leading the way here on lap 55, 21 laps into this stage. How's that for Kismet?
And only has to hold it for another 4 laps before he claims a green and white checkered flag. And he is pulling Scott Tompkins to the tune of about 0.6 of a second. My goodness, this 21's quick.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we've seen flashes of brilliance out of the 21 team in the past, but this is the first time they've been able to get into that clean air, and I'm thinking that's pretty much going to be the key tonight. Whoever can get in the clean air and stay in the clean air is going to, you know, be in the catbird seat all night long, as I believe that's Dan Dill. He's about to put a lap down.
This has been absolutely incredible to see here out of Mike Mock. And you're right, Dan Dill set to go a lap down now. The 17 of Chase Barry, not that far away either. There you see him at the front of your screen as Mike Mock just rolling at the moment. 1.3 seconds to the better than Scott Tompkins, currently running in the 2nd position. Evan Pienta has 3rd. But it's still that battle, the 51 there, the 1 there as well.
Absolutely, as Pienta is looking at his rearview mirror, seeing those guys go side by side, going, yep, keep it up, guys. As there we go, Chris Brown throws it to the inside, going into 3, side by side with Pienta. That is your battle for 3rd, as they are just hammer and tongs. Brown, Pienta, and Bechdel just in lockstep right now, as Brown pushes Pienta up the track. Bechdel going to get to his inside. They're 3 wide coming to the stripe.
Pienta dominated this stage up until that caution coming out on lap 44. Pienta was the man who was in 3rd at the end of that lap. And boy, these guys are getting close. Coming through 1 and 2, it's going to be Brown, at least for the moment, coming out the better. But in that middle line, it's going to be Evan Pienta getting the push. On the outside, Bechdel's going to be the big loser here on that inside. Still 3 wide. They've been 3 wide for a full lap.
Bechdel got shoved down the track coming down the back straightaway as Brown was having none of it, trying to cut off the run that Bechdel had, as he's now getting pushed by the aforementioned Evan Pienta, as Bechdel getting pushed by his teammate Ryan Jones. They're 2 wide right now as Pienta thinks about sticking his nose up in there. Going to follow Brown around as Ryan Jones back into the mix, as Mike Mock has extended his lead to almost a 1.5 seconds.
We haven't mentioned it we haven't mentioned it at all
Or
here
3.5,
tonight.
sorry.
That was a Payday Racing 1-2-3 at Kansas last week. And now coming through this tri-oval, Mike Mock comes away with the Stage 2 win.
Scotty Tompkins, Randy Bechdel, Chris Brown, Evan Pienta, Ryan Jones, Chris Smith, Chandler Summers, Ellis Thomas, and Jeff Pogo snatching the last point.
I'll take things I didn't think I'd be saying tonight for 500.
This man won the second stage at Auto Club.
What a run, and a perfectly timed caution, not just for Mike Mock, but for Scott Tompkins as well, because Tompkins was mired back just like right in the beginning of the teens, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th. He couldn't move forward with the damage that he had from the 7 earlier on. Got himself up into second, so great strategy move by both of those drivers.
Very much so, but I dare say that they're going to be behind the 8 ball when we go back to green flag racing, because Randy Bechdel and company are all going to be able to change into their first set of fresh tires.
There will be a pit stop cycle in this final stage, which will be 80 laps. And what we'll do right now is we will take a quick break. We'll be right back. You are watching the TNT Truck Series, round number 3 from the Auto Club Speedway. Mike Mock, your Stage 2 winner. Back after this. Green flag about to come back out here after the competition caution for the end of stage number 2. The 25 of Scott Tompkins wins the race off of pit road and now leads as we head into turn number 1. Randy Bechdel and Ryan Jones not that far behind as we work lap 64 of 140. Tompkins still holding firm on that outside line. And now Randy Bechdel, for the first time since stage 1, finds himself back in that race lead. And we saw what happened earlier back on lap 9 between the 25 and the 7, and then the retaliation on lap 11 between the two, and that will put the 25 and 7 nose to tail running for second position. Ryan Jones holding off just a little bit. Evan Pienta, Chris Brown, Chris Smith, Chandler Summers, pardon me, running 3 wide through turns 1 and 2. And look at Stephen Holmes up here in the top 10 for the first time tonight in that number 9 TickleZombie.com Ford. Still working through. Evan Pienta makes a big swing under the 7 of Ryan Jones. Jones trying to push him as far down as he dares. But it'll be Pienta taking the spot. So Evan Pienta into that 3rd position. Chris Brown, Chris Smith battling for 5th. And just behind them, Chandler Summers and Stephen Holmes battling for 7th. Jeff Pogo swinging to the inside of the 80 of Ellis Thomas. Jeff Pogo, after finishing 10th at the end of that stage, after dominating a good majority of it, as that was Ellis Thomas just kissing the wall coming out of turn 4. Not that much of contact there for the 80. Still holding firm as now he gets to the inside of Chandler Summers in the 12. Jeff Pogo right there as well. As Pogo jumps up into the 8th position right behind his teammate Stephen Holmes. Randy Bechdel still out in front, leading Scott Tompkins by about 0.3 of a second. Ryan Jones holding up quite a bundle right now. Chris Smith goes way down to the inside. Chris Brown to the outside. Both of those two splitting that number 7 of Jones. Jones trying to get the run coming off the corner as that's the 13. A big bit of contact there on the outside wall coming out of turn 2 for Jamie Leach in the number 13. 11-car breakaway at the front of the field, and they're separated by about 2 seconds as that's Chris Hone on the inside looking at Anthony Reynolds in the 82 on the outside. Cody Levitt also starting to work his way back up towards the front after big contact with the wall at the end of stage 1 for Levitt. And then behind him in 15th, the stage 2 winner of Mike Mock, Miroslav Mock, as far as his iRacing league is concerned.
And Frank, I got some info for you. You and I were talking during that commercial break. You know, this is probably the best run that Mock has had in a long time. Back in 2019, the top 5 at 5 Flags.
That would be season 4 for these guys, working season 7 right now. Best finish last season was Dover, 15th, pardon me, which is where he currently sits right now. Fall back to 17th right now is Mike Mock, and he's actually in the wall right now in that number 21. Peels it off the wall.
Got to think those tires are starting to give up the ghost with this many laps on them.
That would be my thought. And also one of the better paint schemes we see tonight. Let's give it a throwback to Mike Skinner's number 4 Looney Tunes ride for Paul Thomas in the 42 tonight.
we're seeing a lot of nice liveries coming up. And, Frank, if your wardrobe needs a new livery, you need to go over to our series sponsor, ticklezombie.com. They've got some amazing spur-of-the-moment ideas on T-shirts and sweatshirts and just about anything else you can think of to put a logo on. But, if your wardrobe needs a new paint scheme like these trucks apparently are going to need to after this race, so I see a lot of guys have cheese grated the right side of their trucks. TickleZombie.com is where you want to go and let them know that the USRA sent you.
One guy who's going to want a new set of something right now is the 25 of Scott Tompkins, who was up in second, not anymore, as this was him just a moment ago, backwards on the inside of turn number 3. Try to take a look and see what happened here with Scott Tompkins. Big spin off the nose of the 28.
Smith and Tompkins have been going at it all race long, so not a big surprise that something finally popped off between the two of them.
28 had the run. 25 tried to go down. I'm not sure either to block or to try to make a run on Evan Pienta in the 0-0. But either way, Tompkins ending up in the grass in turn number 3. And certainly the worse for wear as he's down into the 23rd position. Last car in the race, last car on the lead lap, and he's got about 12 seconds before he gets up to Johnny Rapp in the 52, who has gotten his lap back.
Absolutely, but how about the 9 of Stephen Holmes running in third right now as he just got by Chris Smith as Smith drives to the inside going into 3. Holmes going to give him plenty of room. Pinches him down just a little bit on corner exit, but Smith with a head of steam able to get it happening as Ellis Thomas looks like he may have grazed the wall coming off of 4.
Yeah, we saw that a little bit earlier on from Ellis Thomas. Chris Brown now running in the 6th position, and Stephen Holmes appears to be one of those guys that's going to take the Chase Barry approach to these races, try at least in the first 2 segments to make the tires last as much as they can, so this way you know how much you could push them when you get into the final stage. Barry right now still running in the 18th position, quite a ways off the front. However, Stephen Holmes now mixing it up here at the front, looking for 3rd to the outside of Chris Smith.
And they've been like that for the better part of the last couple of laps as Holmes and Smith have just been throwing everything. It's like the kitchen sink at each other, trying to figure out how to get that spot away from each other. As Evan Pienta's got to be loving this in his rearview mirror, because as long as they're racing each other, he doesn't have to worry about him quite as much.
Certainly is. Evan Pienta currently running in that 2nd position. You see him right up in front of this pair of Holmes and Smith. Randy Bechdel has checked out to the tune of about 1.2 seconds up here at the front and has left the rest of this field. That would be on screen right now. That would be a battle. The lead car there is 2nd position. 2nd through 7th represented on your screen right now.
Absolutely. That all of those guys would love nothing better than be able to dethrone Randy Bechdel out of the points lead. Is the only other person to do so is Jordan Smith, who is unfortunately not here for the 2nd week in a row.
And that's going to be a big hindrance to his points championship, as well as Eric Holly not here as well in the number 8 for a 2nd consecutive week. As Holmes still trying to put as much pressure on Evan Pienta as possible, as there you see them flashing by. Pienta just does keep that position, as these guys were all side by side a moment ago. Now they're all running line astern.
I think they finally got it figured out as they're starting to not lose as much time to Randy Bechdel. And they probably figured it out that as long as they're racing each other, Bechtel's going to be able to stretch that lead. If they work together, they've got a shot at reeling him in.
And they are starting to really reel him in right now. They've pulled that gap back down to just over a second. It was 1.2. It's now 1 second even, as here comes Stephen Holmes now looking for that third position. And we see this kind of thing, unless they are genuinely racing for position, we see this kind of thing happen at super speedways all the time, where you have a group that's trying to catch up to the larger pack that keeps swapping positions, trying to find the order at which they run and catch that group the fastest. That might be what these guys are doing here.
Well, so far I think it's Evan Pienta is in control of that one, is Stephen Holmes and Chris Smith about a truck length and a half off of Pienta right now, as they're trying to get it sorted out, but it looks like the aero push is very real going into one at least.
Which is interesting, seeing as though it's the wider entry as compared to turn 3. It's looking a little bit further back. This is just outside the top 10. That's Ryan Jones in 10th. Right now, currently ahead of Brad Allison in the 03. That's Cody Levitt in the Volta number 3. Tommy Cannon just behind. Now looking to the inside there. That is for the 12th position for Tommy Cannon, and Cannon can't quite move up in time. So that will allow not only Cody Levitt, but Chris Hone in the 85 to slip on through. And Eric Wright in the 53 also finds a way through. Tommy Cannon tries to gain 1 spot, ends up losing 2.
Mock going to be the first one to bring it pit side on lap 80. We're going to be 60 laps to go this time across the stripe for your leader, Randy Bechdel. And it looks like Mock not happy with how that Snap-on Tools number 21 is handling right now.
Especially as he ran on the wall. Turns 1 and 2 a couple of laps ago, so he's certainly going to be feeling it. Not just the 15-lap older tires, same thing with Scott Tompkins.
Mock put it on the hauler.
Yep, so Mock is taken his green and white checkered flag and has decided to call it a night. Winner of stage 2 is going to come home and finish last here tonight as our one and only retirement thus far.
That really speaks volumes for the entirety of the field. You know, the fact that a lot of these guys have gotten into trouble, and they've stayed in it. They're still slugging it out. You know, I'm sure Scotty Tompkins doesn't want to be running 22nd right now, but he's still out there turning laps, doing everything he can to try to salvage as many points out of tonight as he can possibly salvage.
We've had only 3 cautions on the season, not including tonight, and not including the stage cautions. We had 1 caution that's the season opener at Vegas, 2 last week, and just 1 here tonight. So if you want to have success here in this series, you have to be on it. And Randy Bechdel, especially for the last 2 years, has been on it, as he has now started to lose that lead that he built up, as Evan Pienta has broken away from that second group and is now all but caught the back end of that number 51 of Bechdel.
And while he's doing that, Chris Smith and Chris Brown are just going at it like cats and dogs right now. They've been in lockstep for the better part of the last 2 laps, and they've got Ellis Thomas and Chandler Summers right behind them. As if you're Stephen Smith in the 9 right now, you're looking at this in your rearview mirror going, go ahead, guys, I'm just going to stay up here.
But Holmes, again, this is the highest he's been all night, running in that third position. Lead car in that second group as Randy Bechdel and Evan Pienta now battling for that race lead. Again, Randy Bechdel took the win here last season. Trying to go back-to-back here at Auto Club. So these two are now a second and a half ahead of this set of 5, running from 3rd to 7th.
And you got to think Evan Pienta took a note or a page out of his teammate's notebook. Jordan Smith was battling for the lead with Scotty Tompkins last season when Randy Bechdel stole the victory when Tompkins and Smith got into each other on the final lap, actually with 3 to go.
Yeah.
And you got to think Pienta is taking a page out of his teammate's notebook as he's got a head of steam coming off of turn number 2, nose out front for Pienta. Back to the point goes the Hot Wheels F-150.
Evan Pienta has finished second at Auto Club this season and finished, at Vegas to open up the season, and 4th at Kansas, running in second a good chunk of the race. So 2 top 5 finishes in the opening 2 races of the season for Evan Pienta. Doesn't have a stage win, doesn't have a race win this season. Could this be the night?
That's a good question. I'd like to hear what our fans have to say about that. If you're in the live chat right now, let us know who you're pulling for.
We know one is pulling. As Avery said right at the beginning of the race, Evan Pienta for the win, and right now that's looking pretty good. As that 00 Hot Wheels Ford F-150 currently leading the race here. As again, this pack of 5 here continue to battle and still continue to fall off the back end of those front 2.
Which is kind of weird because, they're not battling that hard back there. You'd almost think that, they'd get that sorted out because they're still running too wide.
It's just that
these guys know better.
It's just that side-by-side racing. It's always going to be slower than just running single file.
Smith trying to beat the engine to pull these guys forward. As that's Brown and Holmes on the top side. You got a 3. Whoa, that was a big move out of Chandler Summers.
Yep, took it all the way down to the grass and now has made it 3 wide here. And this is not a comfortable position for Chris Smith because we've seen him down on that inside line where Chandler Summers is right now the entirety of this race. Unfortunately for Summers, he's going to be the big loser out of all of it, going all the way back to the end of the line.
Yeah, unfortunately, was not able to get the drive off of turn 2. As Smith and Holmes still in lockstep for 3rd. Smith with a nose out front. Now Holmes with a nose out front as he's getting some help from Chris Brown. Meanwhile, Evan Pienta's gotten by Randy Bechdel, and Bechdel's still another 2 seconds up the road from this battle for 3rd.
Pienta taking the lead about 5 laps ago. Is this right now the battle for the 3rd position? Stephen Holmes still holding on to it. And a big shove from Chris Brown. Now this group is about 3 1/4 seconds ahead of the 13 of Jamie Leach, who is running by himself in the 11th position. Jeff Pogo, we haven't really seen him get into any damage, hasn't had a problem, hasn't hit the wall, but the pace that he had at the beginning of this race is certainly not there now.
They're 3 wide for 4th.
Back to it. Yeah, they certainly are. Scott Tompkins, Chandler Summers in that Tompkins Chevrolet. That's where I was going with that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I almost did that earlier myself.
Summers once again falling to the back of that group after trying to make that dive, but going back to Jeff Pogo. Might have a little bit of damage behind the right front wheel well, but the pace of that 4 has completely disappeared.
Yeah, absolutely. But, Stephen Holmes leading this second group. We got two Fords on the podium right now, and 2 Fords and a Toyota. Evan Pienta and Stephen Holmes driving Fords. Randy Bechdel in the Ford Ford Oval Sandwich, driving the lone Toyota there in the top 9. Everything else is a Chevy other than those 3, the 2 Fords and the Toyota.
4 Fords being represented in this race here tonight. You see 2 of them in the top five, in the top three, as you had mentioned. Evan Pienta leading the race. Stephen Holmes running in the third position. Now about to be fourth as Ellis Thomas gets one mighty run coming out of turn 4 and down into turn number 1. So Stephen Holmes, my goodness, now finally relinquishing the lead of that group. The other two Fords, Mike Mock won stage 2. He's our only DNF. And Dan Dill a lap down right now, running in the 21st position after pitting on lap 88.
And Stephen Holmes may have burned his tires off a little too soon, as he's now fallen back into the clutches of Chris Brown and Chandler Summers. But getting back to that move that Ellis Thomas made, that was a page out of Ayrton Senna's book of, I'm going to put my truck here. If we crash, that's on you.
And we're speaking of Holmes losing it on the tires, to split this last stint even. 80 laps was the final stint, so these guys will be coming in at the century mark at 100 laps, 40 to go, to split this final stint in half. So these guys are probably thinking just 6 more laps, and then we can come in and know we're going to be fine at the end.
Well, we know they're going to be fine, or should be fine on fuel. The biggest question is, who's got tires left?
Everyone should. Scott Tompkins still has not come into pit for what for him would be a 4th time. That would be to take his last set. I would have to assume everyone's got a set on the wall right now.
You would hope so, with this much racing left to do, yeah.
And with all that squabbling for the 3rd position, these two have broken away to the tune of 3.7 seconds over that group of 5 that we were just watching.
Well, we kind of saw this last season too. These were two of the class of the field all season long. You would see Jeff Pogo and Ryan Jones up there. Whenever they didn't get caught up in someone else's dumpster fire, which seems to be more the case than anything else. But the fact that these guys are doing what they're doing. This is what we saw last season when we came to Auto Club. Is the Pienta Racing and Payday Racing. Thank you. Those guys know how to get it done here on the speedways.
But again, we had mentioned the Payday Racing 1, 2, 3 last week at Kansas. Payday Racing right now running 2, 10, and 15 on the racetrack respectively at the moment, so it'll not be as successful a day for the 51, 7, and 17 as it was last week.
Yeah, far from it, but there's still a lot of racing left to do. There's a lot of things that can happen. We still have quite a bit of racing left to do. As a matter of fact, it'll be 43 laps this kind of time across the stripe.
Love it. Randy Bechdel makes the paint schemes for that team, and the spec map that he put on that 17 this week. It's a real pity that Barry is running right now 19 seconds off the race lead, battling with 2 guys that have already pit, and that's the 11 of Dan Dill and the 52 of Johnny Rapp. The 82 of Anthony Reynolds is for position for Barry. That truck looks beautiful tonight.
Yeah, I love that copper color.
Absolutely insane.
Some talented artists. You got to figure Evan Pienta does all the schemes for Pienta Racing. Bechdel does all the schemes for Payday Racing. There's a lot of talented artists out there that are doing wraps for all sorts of vehicles.
Jeff Pogo does all the ones for Gateway as well.
I forgot about that. Yeah, sorry, Jeff. I completely forgot to mention that.
Including his own. There's Pogo right now currently holding on to that 9th position. He's got 0.4 of a second back to Ryan Jones to stay inside the top 10. Stephen Holmes now has fallen to the back of that group that he had led for so long, and Chandler Summers has jumped up to the front. So this group, for the last time we saw it, has completely flip reversed. Chandler Summers up to 3rd, Holmes back to 7th.
And it looks like Holmes is losing time to Chris Brown as well.
Yep.
So not having a good time of it in that TickleZombie.com Ford F-150. But, good solid, right now anyways, top 10 for Holmes. Biggest mover to speak of, though, is that 13 of Jamie Leach, up 11.
He's 3.5 seconds off of that 5 that we've been paying attention to. Evan Pienta starting to pull a little bit of a gap on the 51 of Randy Bechdel. It's up to 0.4 of a second, just shy of a half a second, as Anthony Reynolds in the 82 comes down pit road. The first of what we would call the scheduled pit stops here tonight.
And right when you said it was going to happen, right at the century mark, as we are going to be 40 to go,
Jamie
Pienta
Leach,
shows
Jeff
the
Pogo
way.
in as well.
You got to think they're trying to get the undercut on the rest of these guys, and they're going to use those fresh tires to their advantage as soon as they get turned loose from the stalls. As that you got nothing to lose when you're running that far back right now, anyways.
Evan Pienta right now put that truck into party mode right now as he's pulled up about 0.6 of a second now on Randy Bechdel, trying to use all of those tires before pulling it in, and they both come in at the same time. And it looks as though everybody in that second group, except for Chandler Summers, all comes in at the same time. Watch out, Chris Smith almost ran into the end of the pit wall.
That almost ended poorly, as it looked like Ellis Thomas almost got into the back of him as well.
Pienta, Bechdel, Smith, Thomas, Brown, Holmes, Jones, Levitt, Barry, Tompkins, Poling, all coming in on this lap, leaving Chandler Summers with the race lead. Evan Pienta, the first one to roll. Bechdel drops, and that's a lead extension for Evan Pienta right now. Chandler Summers comes down pit road, and that's a slider coming in. That's the 13 of Jamie Leach.
Wow.
And the caution comes out.
Looks like cold tires may have caught Jamie Leach out going through 3 and 4.
That, or he was either trying to serve a penalty. Take a look and see.
No, that truck just
lost it there.
It just stepped out on him coming through 3 and 4.
Let's try to go back a little bit further here and take a look, an accurate look, and see what happened. Here he comes through 3 and 4 now. And no, you're right, Tony. It's just, boy, he was middle of the corner, and it finally wrecked on him. And the reason why the caution comes out there is because he stopped on pit road entry. Big winners in that. What we thought would be the big winners in that, at least, would be Chris Hone, who did not come into pit, nor did Eric Wright. Those guys decided to stay out under the green flag cycle.
They were just coming onto pit road when that caution came out. They had just passed the commitment cone.
I think they're trying to get themselves sorted in, as Evan Pienta right now currently being scored the race leader, which is unfortunate for him because that huge gap that he had to the 51 of Bechdel now completely erased. As Brad Allison gets the lap led, gets the free pass, I'm sorry. Dan Dill, Jeff Pogo, Johnny Rapp all down pit road. And we only had 2 cautions at Auto Club last season, and both right at the pit cycle. And we had mentioned it at the top of the show tonight, Tony. It's a loose racetrack, very loose racetrack.
And it may sound surprising, but as cool as the temperatures are right now, 65-degree ambient air temperature, 66-degree track temperature. But the fact that this track is as old a pave as it is, with 56% relative humidity, especially on cold tires, you've got to be careful. After a couple laps, when you get the heat into the system, okay, then you can start hammering on it, but you've got to tiptoe until you get those tires up to temp.
This racetrack made its debut on the NASCAR calendar back in 1997. And from there, it was a brand new circuit, and with years and years and years of the California heat beating down on this racetrack. And this is not in an area of California that sees too much rain. This is an old racing surface.
Very much so. I mean, you can see all the patchwork and tar jobs that they've done to try to keep the seams in one piece. And it looks like the lights have gone out on the pace truck as Pienta's going to line up on the outside. Chandler Summers forced to that inside lane with Randy Bechdel. So not what Bechdel was hoping to see here.
Before Chandler Summers just does get out ahead of Randy Bechdel via the pit cycle. So those guys were still coming off of pit road when the 13 went spinning. As we will have 35 laps to go once we go back to green flag racing. So an entire pit cycle to go. And with how wild this racing has been, I'm not sure if we're done seeing cautions.
The safe bet would be no, as Brad Allison has decided to put it on the hauler.
It's unfortunate for him. We saw Allison as high as 5th here tonight in that 03. Pace truck getting set to peel off. It looks like Chase Barry getting set to come down pit road in that number 17. 35 laps to go. Green flag back in the air.
And he is bringing that 17 down pit road.
That's
Not sure
intriguing.
what's going on there. We'll have to keep an eye on that as Pienta gets a great jump. Summers and Holmes side by side for second right now. Summers with the preferred low lane, at least on fresh tires, is the preferred lane. As again, everybody's got their money stop in.
That 9 of Stephen Holmes, we saw how good he was at the beginning of the stint last time around. Randy Bechdel, same thing, but that was a very content Randy Bechdel sitting behind the 00 for the second half of that pit cycle. Come down to take yet another lap. Evan Pienta getting very close to clinching most laps led here tonight in that 00, which would mean more bonus points. As much like the first run, we've got about 6 cars up here at the front broken away, and that about a half a second gap back to Ryan Jones, who really has not had the pace ever since lap 9.
Absolutely, as all hell was breaking loose towards the back of that. I just caught it coming off a 2. As it looked like Cody Levitt got yeeted down to the inside lane.
Pienta trying to cover off Randy Bechdel on the inside. Up at the front, Chandler Summers holding strong. Chandler Summers, best finish in his USRA career would have been on his debut, the winner of the season opener at Daytona last season. having a very good run here at Auto Club right now. Is that 12 holding firm, second car on that outside line. Look at Ellis Thomas looking for his first USRA win in the number 80 on the inside.
And it would be good to see, the 80 put one in victory lane.
Yep.
He's just been struggling, at least ever since we've been taking over the broadcasting for the USRA. Thomas has struggled and fought and clawed and just has not had the results he well deserves. But, he's had a couple of podiums, and he's in position right now to be able to put the number 80 on the podium yet again. But right now, he's got Ellis Thomas to deal with as Evan Pienta pinches him down, as Thomas had a head of steam going into 3, had to check the binders just a little bit as Bechdel with the nose out front coming across the stripe.
If I remember correctly, Ellis Thomas made his debut last season at Gateway, which would have been round number 5 of the season.
Yes.
And since then, it's taken him a little bit. It's taken him a little while. But by the end of the season, he was continuously running up towards the front with these guys and putting on a heck of a show.
Well, that's something Dave and I talked about Tuesday night is, whenever you come into a new league, nobody wants to be, and I'm using air quotes here with my fingers, that guy. And Thomas was respectful when he first came in, and then he figured out, okay, this is how I can race this driver, this is how I can race that driver. Because right now he's racing hard with Randy Bechdel for the lead. Evan Pienta right there on the outside lane to help the 51, which is the weirdest thing I've said all night.
And I will say, I'll correct myself there, he was here from the start of the season last year, finished 29th at Daytona last season.
His first podium was Gateway.
No, he had finished well down the order at Gateway as well. We'll look at that. We're going to be taking a break here soon, and we will look that up on the other side. Yes. Getting close to Evan Pienta. Is that 80 of Ellis Thomas? Oh, contact with him in the 00. That was almost inevitable with how close those guys were, and now here comes Ellis Thomas falling down the middle. How much that's going to affect the 00 of Evan Pienta. As Pienta now right behind Ryan Jones. Didn't we just say a couple laps ago that Ryan Jones hasn't had the pace tonight? He's battling for second.
Yeah, he's right there. Actually, Kansas was his first race.
There you go.
Or no, the last race last season, it was his Kansas. He finished second.
Certainly had. Oh, contact between the 00 and the 7. The 7's in the wall. They both go sliding down into turn 3. 7 comes across the track and a big hit from the 3 of Cody Levitt. Caution is out.
Wow, what a shot.
Levitt took a hard hit. Ryan Jones. There's Evan Pienta. And boy, things completely unraveled in about 2 laps for Evan Pienta. And Cody Levitt, that 3 destroyed.
That was a Goodyear tattoo to the chin.
Took a second for that caution to come out as well, and we'll take a look at it now. As Evan Pienta gives the 7 a bump down the back straightaway and gave it a little bit too hard. That's a situation very akin to what you would see at Daytona or Talladega. Look at the run the 00 is going to get. Tries to nudge that 7 along and just doesn't hit him square.
Well, it looked like he was trying to get down to the low lane to go inside the 7 going into 3 and just timed it wrong.
I Take a look at this from on board of Evan Pienta now. Gets the run. He may have been swinging to try to line himself up, but certainly got into the back of the 7, and that's what's going to trigger that incident. And then we'll take a look now from onboard Cody Levitt. He is well behind this. When it happens, there he sees them both spinning off, tries to power past it, and my goodness, he took a shot. Ryan Jones as well. I mean, my goodness. Violent impacts for all involved. There's Jones spinning. And then the hit. Oof.
So, while all that was happening, I was looking at the stats for Ellis Thomas. One pole last season, that was at Darlington. Started outside the front row at Auto Club here last season. Best finish of second at Kansas after leading 24 laps and led 23 laps at Darlington.
There you go. The rap sheet on Ellis Thomas out of Atlanta.
3 top 5s, 7 top 10s coming into this season. So, you know, he knows how to get it done. It's just he hasn't had the best of luck yet as the lights do go out on the iRacing pace car.
Evan Pienta is back out on track, albeit no, he is back on track, and he is still on the lead lap. There he is in that 00. Doesn't have a lot of damage, so I wouldn't count him out just yet. Cody Levitt done for the night. Ryan Jones would have to assume done for the night. Chase Barry, we mentioned he pulled it off coming to the green after the caution on lap 100. He has yet to return to the racetrack. So we know of 4 DNFs. That would be Levitt, Jones, Allison, and Mock. Chase Barry would be assumed a DNF at the moment.
Yeah, he's 9 1/4 minutes on pit road already, so.
And after going the entire first half of this race, almost to lap 100 without one, we now have 5. And probably the biggest accident we've seen this season thus far.
Yeah, that was definitely a thank God this is a simulator kind of moment.
It's a hard lick that Ryan Jones just took as we get set to take the green flag. We'll have 24 to go when this race goes back to green. Scott Tompkins jumps way up to the outside on the start. Green flag is in the air. Ellis Thomas did not go.
It looked like he may have spun the tires in that outside lane as now he drops down in front of Chris Brown. Brown shoving the daylights out of the 80 to get him going. So Thomas kind of doing the right thing as far as cutting off the run of Brown. And here comes the 28 of Chris Smith, making it 3 wide for 5th.
Certainly, that would be my assumption, is that he spun the tires, that or he was in 3rd gear. But then again, he might not have gotten up to pace as quickly as he did if he was in 3rd gear. From there, I mean, I've restarted in 4th gear and I dropped like a stone, and you feel like an idiot too.
Yep, he definitely spun the tires.
So Ellis Thomas has an abysmal start but keeps the damage to a minimum. As Chandler Summers running right now in that 2nd spot, and a lot of guys looking for either their first win in this series or their first win in quite some time, all hounding Randy Bechdel right now. Chandler Summers gets the first crack at him, but now Ellis Thomas is taking his crack at Summers.
Thomas wasted no time getting back up to speed, full head of steam right now as they come off of turn number 4. Summers and Thomas side by side. Chris Brown right there as well. as Scotty Tompkins and Steve Holmes go door to door for 5th. The battle, though, rages on for those final 2 steps of the podium right now, as Randy Bechdel, looking in his rearview mirror, has got to be loving this.
Scott Tompkins involved in that incident with Ryan Jones back on lap 9. Finished 2nd in stage 2 after getting spun out by Tommy Cannon, so he's had an eventful night as that number 25. Back up here in the top 5, now looking for 4th under Chris Brown. Almost pushes Chris Brown all the way up and out. Tompkins going to have to slot into what's now 6th position and going to lose more as he now has 0 momentum on that outside.
Jamie Leach with a head of steam, as does, I believe that's the 28 of Chris.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Chris Smith trying to make some headway as well.
Chris Hone here as well, looking for his best career finish in that number 85. This is his 3rd race with the USRA. Running up in 9th, and Johnny Rapp, who we saw earlier on, was a lap down, the last car on track not that long ago. He's up to 11th.
Great recovery drive out of the 52 after having some issues early on. But how about Jamie Leach? Great run going right now for the 13. Up 13 spots, currently sitting in the number 6 position as the battle rages on in front of him. As Summers has shown speed, Ellis Thomas has shown speed, Chris Brown has shown speed. But the question is, do they have what it takes to get by defending series champion Randy Bechdel? Because, Frank, you know as well as I do, catching someone is one thing, passing them, completely different ballgame.
Look at this. Look at this scene behind Jamie Leach right now as we ride on board with him. 4 abreast, coming through turns 3 and 4. As Jamie Leach just trying to hold on to 6th position here at the moment. Now with Chris Smith behind him, Johnny Rapp involved in this. Also another guy who's been very much sitting at the back of the field here tonight, Dan Dill in the 11. He's up to 7th on that inside, gets hooked into Johnny Rapp. Everyone keeps it straight for the moment as Chris Smith as well gets a little bit of a push to the inside.
How did they save that?
I think it was enough cars coming through that just knocked everybody straight. Johnny Rapp's number 52 completely destroyed. Chris Smith there as well. Chris Smith in pit road. Jeff Pogo had to make his way through that. Dan Dill also looking the worse for wear. He hit that 52 hard and shoved that 52 way up into the wall. Trying to catch this again. From the blimp, Dan Dill is coming out of turn 2. Well, it just looked like the 11 kept pushing up. Didn't realize the 28 of Chris Smith was still there. And then pushed that 28 right up into the 52. And again, I think it was just the fact that so many cars were coming through at the time that to bounce off of just kept everyone straight. So now that we've broken this top group up enough.
Yeah.
Still a 6-car breakaway up here at the front. Randy Bechdel, Chandler Summers, Chris Brown, Stephen Holmes, Ellis Thomas, and Jamie Leach are the 6 that, barring a caution, will be racing for the win.
Yeah, absolutely. But Leach right now has to hope for pandemonium to break out in front of him. As right now, Randy Bechdel, Chandler Summers, and Chris Brown in command of this one at the front of this piece. Brown starting to fade ever so slightly off of Chandler Summers as he's falling back into the clutches of Steve Holmes. But, that was definitely a Code Brown moment for about half the field there a few laps ago. And if you have your own Code Brown moment, need your fire suit cleaned, you need to go to Adams Cleaners over on Sierra Ave in Fontana, California.
There you go. Some
Best
free
rating in
advertising.
Yelp. Best rating in Yelp right now.
Only rating in Yelp right now, I think.
Oh, no, you're not wrong.
As Johnny Rapp has jumped back to pit road, so would assume his night is done in the number 52. Chris Smith is back out on racetrack right now, but not that far away from losing a spot to Tommy Cannon, which would put him as the last car running right now. As there's Chris Smith down on the bottom. There's Tommy Cannon's number 47, not that far behind. And again, that will be a pass for position between the 28 and 47. And for the 28 tonight, had such a good run going, was a fixture up at the front. We had spoken several times that he was the lowest he had been for the first quarter of this race. Nearly the first half of this race was third. And then once he fell beyond the top three, just was not able to recover. And there, just miscommunication there between spotter and driver.
Well, I mean, it stems back to what we were talking about, too, is, dirty air is, it's amazing how much the air off the car or truck in front of you will affect your ride, because these trucks punch such a big hole in the air that if you're following real close to somebody, it's very easy to lose anything to that front splitter on these trucks. And once you do, you're just along for the ride at that point.
Certainly. Randy Bechdel right now in the race lead. We had spoken that Pienta finished second at Vegas and fourth at Kansas. Well, Bechdel finished in those two positions, just flipped the race. Fourth in Vegas and second at Kansas. As the two-time reigning defending champion looks for his first win of the season and his second consecutive at this racetrack. And what I'm seeing right now is a very content Chandler Summers sitting behind him, trying not to push the pace too much and trying to save some tire for a run in the final couple of laps.
And the guy that does look like he's pushing the pace right now is Ellis Thomas, as he is all over the tailgate of Stephen Holmes right now. He's been looking high, looking low, just knows that he didn't have the momentum to get that pass done yet. But he's lining Holmes up as we are 11 to go right now. So if you're going to make your move, you better do it quick.
If Ellis Thomas wants a crack at this win, he's going to have to make this move a little bit urgently. We saw how Stephen Holmes fell off before the previous pit stop. And he's starting to fall off again. These two have fallen to 0.7 of a second off of the race lead. So this is an urgent move for Ellis Thomas if he wants a chance to win, and makes the move.
Makes a move, and Holmes thinks about coming back on him, coming through the tri-oval section of the track. But they'd be smart just to kind of run stem to stern right now, as they are starting to reel in Chris Brown ever so slightly. Question is, are they going to have enough time, the two of them, to get up there and make something happen? Because right now, Bechdel, Summers, and Brown are just in lockstep right now at your top three steps of the podium.
The faster car of that pair is now in front of it. You can see the gap now between Chris Brown in the 1 in third and Ellis Thomas in fourth. Starting to close back down, and now it's going to be on Stephen Holmes to try to keep up with the 80 of Ellis Thomas, which I do not believe he's going to be able to do at the moment, because he has now fallen to 0.5 seconds behind Ellis Thomas. Meanwhile, Thomas has closed the gap down to 0.5 seconds in front of him to Chris Brown.
He might have enough time to catch Brown. I don't think he's going to have enough time to catch Bechdel.
Depends on how much these guys start to race, as we're coming to the line. 8 laps to go here at the moment.
We saw all hell break loose with 3 to go last year when we were here. And that's about the distance that where Ellis Thomas is in fourth is about the distance that Randy Bechdel was in third last season.
Two-car tango up at the front. It was those two cars only that were going to be competing for the race win. Until they collided. Now we'll add another car and three different pawns to that little scenario. Make it 4 as Ellis Thomas looks as though he is coming up. He should be there within the next couple of laps. 7 to go here. Bechdel, Summers, Brown, and now add Ellis Thomas.
Looks like Summers trying to get some clean air to the radiator as he's been sucked up to Randy Bechdel for the past couple of laps. Taking that second groove through the turns, I don't think that's as effective as he wants it to be, but with the dirty air coming off of the 51 of Bechdel, I don't think he's got much choice right now.
All three of these drivers have won in this series. Randy Bechdel's win at Kansas to close the season out last year is the most recent win between the three. If you want to add 4, Ellis Thomas would be a first-time winner if he were to take the flag here tonight. 6 to go.
Well, let me ask you this, Frank. If you're Bechdel, Summers, and Brown, which position do you want to be in right now?
I would rather be in Bechdel's position because I can at least defend, and I know I can stay ahead of those guys if I take that outside line away from them. And if I'm in that outside line and get passed on the inside and he tries to slide jump me, I know I'll have the advantage on the exit because I'll have more momentum.
No, that's what we've seen most of the night happen tonight is, guys have been able to make that pass on the inside, but they've had to use the slide job to do it. As we are 5 to go, Bechdel, Summers, and Brown, and Ellis Thomas is running out of time.
Evan Pienta, after that incident, has gotten as high as 11th, and that is as high as he's going to go. He's now battling with Larry Poling to try to keep that 11th position. Jeff Pogo jumping up into the 9th position to get around Anthony Reynolds. So drop Reynolds down to 10th. There's 5 laps to go. This is, if you're going to start making the move, you're going to have to do it now. If you're Chandler Summers, you got to set him up. You don't want to be too far behind and not give yourself enough time as he's starting to close the gap now.
What was a 2-truck length lead now it's starting to stretch out to about 2.5, almost 3 coming off of turn number 2. Bechdel in that clean air, and we were talking about it all night. Clean air is king here tonight at Auto Club Speedway. Summers going to have to pull a rabbit out of his hat to get this one taken away from Randy Bechdel.
Certainly has been the key here tonight, and that outside line has been good. Surprised Chandler Summers hasn't tried to jump out there yet. 3 laps to go here at the line. Try to get that run coming down the straightaway. He's getting a great run off of turn 4. It's 1 and 2. If he can manage turns 1 and 2 a little bit better than what he's doing, the time he's losing in 1 and 2, he's getting back in 3 and 4. So if he can have a good 1 and 2, 3 and 4 might be his best chance. Probably beat him out coming to the line.
Well, contact between Brown and Summers coming down the back straightaway going into turn number 3.
Saw how that worked out with the 0-0 and the 7.
Not so well.
2 to go at the line.
Popsicle sticks in the air for your defending series champion, Randy Bechdel. This is going to be his first win on the season if he can hold on for another 4 miles.
And now we're starting to see, here he comes, Chris Brown up to the outside, Chandler Summers to the middle. This is what Chandler Summers needed to do, I think, a couple of laps ago, but he wanted to leave as little time for Bechdel to retaliate as possible. Has a good run. He's closing down on that number 51. Coming out of 1 and 2, but did he leave it too late? Brown to the inside, Summers to the middle. Summers gets the run off.
White flag in the air. Bechdel's got 2 miles to hold off Chandler Summers and Chris Brown. Ellis Thomas may have run out of time to get onto the podium right now. Bechdel in command on the low lane, coming through 1 and 2 for the final time. Summers trying to get the run. Does not have the head of steam coming off a 2 that he needed to make this run happen. He's going to have to full send it mode going into 3 if he's got any shot at this.
Now he's closed the gap down, but not by nearly enough. To the inside line goes Randy Bechdel coming out of turn number 4. Randy Bechdel is clear of Chandler Summers to the line. Randy Bechdel takes his first win of the season. He will win round number 3 here at Auto Club. Chandler Summers, his best finish since his win at Daytona to start last season. Chris Brown, his best finish since his return, as there was a wreck behind those guys in the group that was battling for 5th. Not quite sure who it was. We will go back to it, but Randy Bechdel takes his first checkered flag of the season.
Bechdel gets his first black and white checker of the season. He did win a stage earlier this season, but congratulations to the entire Dryden team. Payday Racing coming home with the victory here tonight. Chandler Summers, one of the best runs we've seen out of him since the series opener at Daytona last year. But Bechdel returning to his winning ways. But you got to wonder what would have happened had that issue between the 7 and the 00 not happened.
Yeah, Evan Pienta was looking like the only competition that Randy Bechdel had on the night for quite some time. And it is Randy Bechdel taking the race win for the first time here this season. Take a quick look back and see what happened at the end of that race. As it might have been might not have been Tompkins at the end there. Is this a 3-way battle for the 5th position between Holmes, Tompkins, and Leach? Both Tompkins and Leach get into the outside wall. Leach was able to get off of it first and able to pass Tompkins for the 6th position at the end of the race. So no real accident, just those two guys really pushing to try to gain as much as they could in the short amount of time that they had left to go. And Tony, I believe you have the race winner, Randy Bechdel, with you right now.
Randy Bechdel, it's been too long since we've been able to say congratulations on your win. 2nd win in a row at Auto Club. 2nd Auto Club win in a row, let's put it that way. You had one fall into your lap last season. This season, though, it was a hard-fought victory, sir.
Yeah, that was Chandler had me sweating there at the end there. He's like our associate teammate, so like on the restart, I helped him out a little bit, try to get him clear. So then try to get away there. I'm not sure what Chris Brown found there in the second half of that run. I thought he was gonna have enough tires to get passes, but he didn't look like he could get a run. But
I mean, y'all came down pit road right around the same time, lap 101. But what was going through your mind when that caution came out, when Pienta had that gap on you, and after the green flag started to cycle through, caution comes out, resets the race, and you're back in it.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure if I was going to make it if we went green without that caution, so I was trying to save a little fuel behind Evan. Then I'm kind of I don't know if I'm glad the caution came out of there or not, because we were like right on the edge either way. But glad it kind of reset everything, get that thing in order. Yeah, it was pretty fun.
Well, we go to the Diamond in the Desert next week as the series goes to Phoenix for the first time this season. Your thoughts going into that race on the miler there?
Just trying to get a good finish again, keep the consistent streak going. If we have a truck to win, go for the win. If not, I'm not going to try to push it too hard unless Of course, at the end of the race, I'm leading.
All right, Randy. Who do you need to thank before we let you go celebrate with your team?
Teammates Chase, Ryan, Chandler, Johnny Rapp, Eric and Jeff for putting on USRA, Tickle Zombie for sponsoring, and of course you two for broadcasting. Always love rewatching them.
All right, Randy. Congratulations on your first victory of the season. Hopefully, we're talking to you again at the end of Phoenix.
Alrighty, thank you guys.
I admit I did a little bit more defending than attacking, but I thought I had some good runs with a few laps to go, but he kind of adjusted, and I didn't want to just send it and take us both out. It was definitely hectic. It was a game of surviving the carnage a little bit there towards the end. It was almost like a plate track almost. It was fun though, for sure. Same thoughts as every week. Just stay consistent, stay out of the wall, and stay out of someone else. That's all I got. Well, I'll thank Tompkins and I'll thank the guys at Payday for helping me out every week, and thank Tickle Zombie for sponsoring the league, and thank you guys for putting on such a great broadcast every week. Thank you.
We don't have Chris Brown. Ooh, there he is. Chris Brown, one of the best finishes we've seen out of you since your return to the USRA TickleZombie.com TNT Truck Series. Talk us through those closing laps as you were giving Chandler Summers all he could handle.
Yeah, there's not really anything you can do if they're on the bottom. There's just nowhere to go. I could get a run on them, but I couldn't get anywhere near close to the side of them. So sucks to finish third, but also pretty good finish for me.
Absolutely. Huge points night. I believe you finished in the points in both stage breaks, so that's going to be definitely helpful in the series points chase. But we definitely change gears. We go from the 2-miler here in Fontana to Phoenix, Arizona next week. And your thoughts going into the miler there?
Yeah, I'm definitely a lot better on these bigger tracks, 1.5 miles and above. So I'm probably going to have to do some practice this week and get spun up on that track.
All right, Chris. Again, congratulations on the podium. You know, one of your best finishes since coming back to the league. Who do you need to thank tonight?
Christian Jones Boudoir, White Owl Performance, and my wife for letting me race.
Thanks, dear. All right. Well, Chris, we're going to let you get down and celebrate with your wife for the podium. We'll see you next week in Phoenix.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
And now that the dummy actually has his mic turned on, that is your third place finisher, Chris Brown. Tony, again, just another incredible night here from this series. We've had 3 races this season, all 3 of them at racetracks where these things are going to be incredibly close and at high speeds. Next week, however, when we go to Phoenix, they're still going to be incredibly close, but we got breaking points we have to worry about.
Oh, very much so, especially going into what's now turn 4. Just before you get into the dog leg where the start-finish line is, that's going to be that and being able to utilize that second lane through 1 and 2. Those are going to be the keys to victory next week at Phoenix, as we have seen time and time again since the repave or the reconfiguration of that track. That second lane coming through 1 and 2, it used to be 3 and 4, that flat section of track just before pit in. Anybody that can make that second lane work, you get such a run down the hallway that you can carry a pretty decent head of steam going into 4.
And this is going to be the first time we are broadcasting these guys from that brand new configuration, and we haven't seen that configuration too much on the network since it came out at the end of last season. There's going to be a completely different turn. Again, as you had mentioned, turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 have been completely flip reversed. Pit entry and exit is a little bit different this year. It's been narrowed up a little bit down the straightaway, so there's going to be a lot of differences going in from last year's Phoenix race to this year's.
Very much so, but these guys are professionals, or as close to a professional as the online gamer can be, and I'm sure that these guys are going to put in work all week long to get ready for that race, knowing how tight the points battle is right now, especially with stage points up for grabs again next week. Every point counts moving here forward. We've said it since the start of the season. Every bonus point you can grab it and hold on to it like it's your firstborn child.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw how important those stage points are in that second stage with Scott Tompkins, who had just crashed, finishing second in the stage by deciding to take tires a little bit earlier than everybody else, and that second stage win for Mike Mock was a clear get me some extra points strategy on the night. So we'll go now to the results here for tonight's race. Round number 3 at Auto Club is completed. Randy Bechdel, Chandler Summers, and Chris Brown, the top 3 finishers here tonight. Ellis Thomas and Stephen Holmes round out the top 5. Jamie Leach, Scott Tompkins, Anthony Reynolds, Jeff Pogo, and Evan Pienta round out the top 10.
Larry Poling in one of his best finishes in a long time, coming home in 11th. 12th going to Paul Thomas. Eric Wright in 13th. Chris Hone in 14th. Tommy Cannon recovery drive coming home in 15th. Chris Smith 16th. Dan Dill 17th. 18th goes to Johnny Rapp. Cody Levitt in 19th. Ryan Jones in 20th. Chase Barry, Brad Allison, and Mike Mock all putting it on the hauler early.
And still not quite sure what happened with Chase Barry. He had pulled it off just prior to the restart on lap 105 and did not return to the racing surface from there. Coming up here on ESPN, it was a light week and it'll continue into Sunday as the fired up Esports League, or Fuel, will return on Sunday night. This will be after the Daytona 500, hopefully after the Daytona 500, barring any delays. They will be at Lucas Oil Raceway for round number 4 of their season. That'll be a 7:20 p.m. Eastern Time start. And then on Sunday night, the Sunday Night NASCAR Series will return their season opener at Daytona. That will be an 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time start on Sunday night. On Monday, it'll be the return of the Rowdy Energy Cup Series. They will be again at Daytona at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time. More Daytona racing for the CleanRacing.net Truck Series, which will start at or around the same time as the Rowdy Energy Cup Series. That will be round number 4 of the season for them. And at 8:50 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday night will be the Maestros Classic ARCA Series. 3 races to go in the season for those guys. They will be at Iowa Speedway both on Monday night with the Maestro Series and on Tuesday night with the Rick Motec Truck Series, which will be the only show in town on Tuesday night. So for my broadcast partner, Tony Trapasso, I am Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. We will see you from the desert in Phoenix, Arizona next week for round number 4 of the TNT Truck Series season. Good night, everybody.